dove out on him and, well, did you approve these?
Yeah. Well, you know, this really,
as he was running to get in the building.
this really underscores a sort of fluid ethical relationship that exists between the elected officials who approve the funding for these economic development agencies and these contractors and all these people in this milieu of economic development. The fluidity between the money going from the commissioners to these agencies and then where the money goes from there. I mean, we know money also goes to private companies who then may turn around and finance politicians' campaigns. So there's a golden circle going on.
Absolutely. And look, folks, that's one of the reasons why it's vitally important why we're champions of the Sunshine Law in the state of Florida. You, me, Deborah, and Best Boy over there need to know where your tax dollars being spent at. Okay, there's a constant flow of money, and somebody's got to watch it. You know, and there's no telling sometimes what some of it may get spent on.
Right.
In Commissioner Nodine's example, you know, a couple $50, $60 bottles of wine, which I think is a little excessive, to be quite honest with you. Got to go back and touch on the community maritime park a little bit.
Back in the news again.
Back in the news again. Pensacola News Journal, look, I want to. Jamie Page, let me give you a big thumbs up. A lot of people talking about this. A lot of people appreciate you doing this story. The Pensacola News Journal, along with Jamie Page, requested the emails from Scott Davison, John Galt, the two that were picked as the quote-unquote construction representatives for the Maritime Park Board.
Right.
Now, one thing that I do want to say, the stuff that Jamie uncovered here, let me assure you folks that there were members in Escambia County that had brought this to the attention of quite a few people. Their concerns of the financial abilities of these two gentlemen. So I want to read a little bit of you. In Jamie's story, the emails reveal that MPDP wanted to secure a $52 million performance bond for the project on its own without the help of Hoare Construction, HOAR. I got to stop there and back up a little bit. You had Scott Davison, who had default judgments against him and his construction company, and then John Galt, he was having some financial problems. The MPDP group was not capable of getting a performance bond for this. Financially speaking, no one would write a letter for them. MPDP wanted to take 2% of the 3% general contracting fee, leaving HOAR with 1%. Eventually, the developers settled for evenly splitting the fee. So you had two guys that are incapable, financially speaking, of completing a project, but they were chosen by the Maritime Park Board to be the lead construction people. In order for them to get bonded for a project of this magnitude, they had to bring in HOAR construction. And then they were even going to shortchange them. They were going to keep 2% and only give them 1%, but they finally agreed to split it in the middle. MPDP wanted the power to approve all subcontractors for the park, but ended up giving up that responsibility to HOAR. More than 500 pages of emails released to the News Journal lay out a tedious behind-the-scenes maneuvering with Hoare, as well as multiple drafts of joint venture contracts. Secret Involvement is the title of this one. The emails show that MPDP began negotiating contract with Hoare last November, but they kept that secret from the city council or from the Maritime Community Park. This goes on to say that several people claimed no knowledge that this was going on behind the scenes. Ed Spears, CMPA's interim director, said the first time he heard HOAR mentioned was about a week before the April 9th announcement at the CMPA meeting. City Manager Al Colby said he knew nothing about HOAR's involvement until that day. Now, this is the stuff that I love. This is a quote by Scott Davison. "We did not want to say HOAR was involved until we had an actual agreement because of the ramifications of publicizing it and potentially falling through." Well, I have a different take on that. If everybody would have found out that you didn't have the capabilities of getting this job done, they would have dumped you and they would have hired HOAR to handle your business. "We didn't want the public to hear one thing and turn out to be another. People would speculate a lot of things."
They're speculating now.
In retrospect, MPDP President Jeff Galt said that may have been a mistake. You know, certainly not happy about how all this occurred, and trust me, there were people behind the scenes that were trying to inform the city council and members of the Maritime Park Board what was going to occur here. Here's what I'm interested in: the public documents. And folks, you've watched us here. You know, we hope we've educated you on it. It took the News Journal nearly a month to obtain the emails between the Maritime Park Development Partners and HOAR Construction. And they give the whole timeline here. Well, that's all I need to read, folks. Public documents, which the Maritime Park Board is the custodian of records. Although the Pensacola News Journal was asking these other folks for their emails, 10 days is considered a reasonable time for a response or to bring the public documents forward that folks have asked for. And I am very troubled that it took a month. It took 30 days for the Pensacola News Journal, and I have been encouraged in you know, we got a little bit of help out of the state attorney's office. I think the state attorney's office needs to officially be apprised of this situation, and I think maybe I will take the time to register a formal complaint with the state attorney's office, because this is unacceptable. Just continues to be a mess in this whole situation.
Well, it makes you wonder who's keeping track of those emails over there.
Well, you know, look, I spent a little time today, and folks down the road, we'll talk more about it. But I did spend a little time recently going over the file for some of the stuff at the city of Pensacola, and pretty enlightening some of the emails that I read and all. So we'll get to a point there, and we'll discuss those. So, once again, 30 minutes has flown by, Deborah.
It certainly has.
So we appreciate you watching us, and I'm Cherry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Good night.